Hi, everybody. My name is Joel Bennett, and I'm president of Organizational Wellness and Learning Systems, OWLS, and I'm here today to talk to you about resilience and health consciousness and how they are different, how they support each other, but also how they can be both used to support us in our journeys. I think the most important thing to mention is that it's time to be optimistic. We are seeing an uptick in the use of resilience and stress management programs on site in workplaces. And there's been much more interest in resilience and stress management training in support of mental well-being for employees. And so what I want to share, however, is that while that's good, we have to be mindful of how we bring those types of trainings into workplaces for this reason. It's possible that a course in stress management or resilience can be used as a check the box. And you go to a course and you go back to a toxic work environment. I always say that's like putting whipped cream on a can of worms. And that's detrimental to the point where it's better sometimes not even do a course if you've got that discrepancy. It's saying to employees, hey, I sent you to that course. You should learn how to use those skills, but you've got to push through the pain anyway, suck it up. So what we want to talk about is doing these courses in a conscious, mindful way and bringing them into the work environment as a whole, using the course as a way to stimulate growth and health in the work culture, the work climate, and the work environment. So consciousness is key. Health consciousness is what we're talking about. So let's talk about the difference between resilience and health consciousness. Resilience tends to be operable within a window of time. It often gets defined as the bounce back. So you're bouncing back from a trauma or an adversity or a set of significant stressors that cause your health to go down and then you bounce back up. So that's what resilience tends to be defined as. We can learn in an ongoing way from resilience, and the tendency is to see it as that bounce back. In contrast, health consciousness is ongoing. It comes before the resilience, during the resilience, and after the resilience. In fact, if you're not conscious of what's happening during the adverse event, during the stressor, you're not going to be resilient. So you have to learn from the difficulty, and that requires consciousness. So consciousness, health consciousness in particular, which means paying attention to your health, is more ongoing. And it can get interrupted from difficulty, right? And the resilience brings us back to that place of being more aware. So the two processes go hand in hand. Having said that, there are some important things to know about them and how they are different and related. So first, resilience is about preparing for and learning from the adversity. And these are the hallmarks of resilience. The key thing, though, is that most of life problems aren't sudden and momentous or overt. They're more daily, what we call daily triggers, small, micro irritations, what we call these triggers can happen and accumulate. And what happens is you get strain and you get exhaustion. So the key thing is that most of these incidents, and we call these prevention opportunity scenarios in our work, most of these incidents that occur have warning signs. They're preceded by the triggers. They're preceded by these smaller daily routine things that we sweep under the rug, we ignore, or the culture, what we call neutralizes and says, don't pay attention to the fact that that particular person is always giving you a hard time. Just do your work, or whatever it happens to be. So while resilience is essential for learning, we must be proactively empowered to pay attention to what's happening on a daily basis and deal with that. So what are we empowering ourselves to do as part of this health consciousness is to stay alert, most importantly for our tolerance for problems, and also our relapses when we sort of do things that keep us from being healthy. But most important, what we need to empower ourselves to do is to create an environment that fosters this health consciousness. We call it team awareness, team resilience, team vigilance. We've called it different things in our different areas of work. So creating that environment that you're going back into after the training will support you using the resilience and stress management skills. So I want to wrap up by giving you a quick list of the differences between resilience and health consciousness. First, resilience is about the symptom chasing you, whereas in health consciousness, you're chasing or even hunting the symptom, because resilience tends to come after, whereas health consciousness, what's happening? How can I pay attention to what's happening and pay attention to those micro triggers that are happening? In resilience, adversity is often the focus, whereas in health consciousness, it's the triggers that are often the focus. In resilience, we're learning from, whereas in health consciousness, we're leaning into what's happening. In resilience, and we talk a lot about this in our book, Raw Coping Power, which we go through in the resilience course, you see the potential from the problem. You bring out the potential. It's like the problem has promise. So we call that potentiation. So that's with resilience. In health consciousness, you're not seeing the potential as much as you're just being with what is. Acceptance, presence, flow, and synchronicity. Just, hey, here I am with what is, and being welcoming to it and noticing it. In resilience, it's how we respond to what's going on, whereas in health consciousness, it's how we live our life. And that really also relates to lifestyle. In resilience, lifestyle prepares us for the adversity. Everything we talk about in wellness, if we're eating well, we're getting good rest, we get exercise, we live a healthy lifestyle, then our nervous system, our neuroimmunological system is prepared to be more receptive and more buoyant when the difficulty happens. So lifestyle is a key part of building that resilience. In health consciousness, it's more about the healthy alternative in the moment. So it's like, okay, something happens, I want to grab the donut. I want to surf the internet. I want to tune out. You know, I want to kick the cat, or whatever it happens to be. I'm not saying you should kick any cat. But so what you do is, instead of doing those bad things, you choose the healthy alternative. So in health consciousness, we spend a lot of time talking about healthy alternatives, going for a walk, a hobby, getting a massage, going out and looking at the sky. It's a beautiful day today. What are those things you can do in a micro to take care of it by staying alert? So ultimately, this comes down to a core difference between resilience and health consciousness, is that resilience tends to be more reactive, whereas health consciousness tends to be more proactive. So I've talked a lot about these differences. I hope that you see that they support each other, and that we have to make sure that when we do training, we get trained in both areas to support the reinforcement of us bringing these skills into a work environment that supports consciousness, supports ongoing learning, and supports this culture of learning and growing together. I hope you join us in any one of our trainings, and I'm so excited to be working with National Wellness Institute as part of this ongoing journey.